Today's topic is the skin and gut connection, and we're going to be discussing how diet and all of that plays into what manifests on the skin and how we can work within scope to incorporate those into our clients' treatment plans. So I am Stephanie at Med Spa Distributors. I'm joined with Pam here. Um,
Hello.
we have invited Susan Wade to join us today on this topic. So without much further ado, I'll turn it over to Susan, who can give a little introduction of herself and then just jump right into this incredible class for us. So Susan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk about this because there's so much that I think that we're missing in terms of healing the skin. And honestly, it's been my journey and it's continued to be my journey. And I just want to share this with people just to give another tool in the toolbox. And wellness is huge right now. And this is a field that is way expanding. So I want us to just have an open conversation today and talk about some of the things that our clients may be presenting that we feel like we can't handle or we have to refer out. So this is an introductory course in terms of just getting our feet wet, really. Really wanting to start thinking a different way, start thinking about, okay, maybe it's you, maybe it's your own health. When I teach, it's a very informal format, which means if you have questions, please raise your hand, please put it out there so we can address that at that time. And let's make this really interactive. And Stephanie and Pam will be a part of it as well. And I know we all have our own health issues or questions, and we'll try to get through as much as we can within an hour. So, but for today, let's talk about how the gut impacts the skin. And I really believe this is the missing piece. So what I want to talk about today, next slide, is the agenda. And so these are some of the things that I want to talk about. So when we talk about the gut, let's start thinking about, okay, we know what healthy skin needs. So I'll touch on that. And then let's talk a little bit and learn about the gut physiology. So we know that, okay, when we're talking about the gut, what does that mean? And then let's examine what the skin is presenting and just link that back to the gut. And we want to really understand that people, it's a huge area that we're talking about now. Wellness is very, very, very important right now. So let's go to the next slide. So let me tell you a little bit about what you see on the skin is what's happening inside. Now, this is not a very fun picture for me to show. It's like, oh my gosh, what in the world is going on? But this has been my skin 5 years ago. This picture is about 4 years. And what I noticed when I was as an esthetician, I thought, okay, what's happening? And I couldn't get any answers. So let's go to the next slide. And let me tell you a little bit about what happened. So when I was a new esthetician, I didn't realize that there were so much there were so many clues and there was so much information that was coming from the inside. So when I had dark spots on my skin, when I had lines and wrinkles, when I thought, you know what, I don't think I'm old enough for this. Maybe this is going too fast. What am I doing? And what's happening? So I went back to school, went into the functional medicine program based out of Boston, spent a lot of time doing this, and it was just like a light bulb that went off. It was like, okay, wow, the liver is doing something, the kidneys are doing something. But there was one class in particular that said the disease begins in the gut. There's a level 1 and a level 2. And I thought, yeah. And then when we went deeper, we talked about how stress affects the gut and then it affects the skin. And I thought, Okay, now you got me because I was extremely stressed. I was living in Chicago, became an empty nester, moved to Chicago from Boise, Idaho, small to large city, had a new job, and ran marathons. When I say marathons, I ran 3 in a row, 3 years in a row. And so I was, the top stressors are, moving, new job, illnesses, all these things. And I had the top five. But I told everyone I wasn't stressed. I mean, I was handling everything like we all do, right? So when I went to the doctors, dermatologists, I couldn't get any answers. All they told me was, you're getting old. And I thought, that just doesn't fit for me. Why? Why? And why are we getting old? I understand the aging process, but what's happening to my skin? So let's connect. When I understood the inside was really screaming at me, and I wasn't doing my body a lot of good when I was exercising so much, running 10 to 12 miles a day. There's no way I was getting the protein, the hydration. I was getting lots of sunshine. I was sweating a lot. There's no way that my body is going to say, you know what, you're going to have beautiful skin. Let's just let the kidneys go today, and we're going to give you beautiful skin. This is not the way it happens. So this is what I wanted to share with you because I think everyone has their own story. And this one really resonated with me because I started uncovering, it was just like this treasure hunt. I'm like, oh, this leads to this leads to this. And so for today, as I said, we're going to just scratch the surface. We're going to come back, later this year and continue to share more and more information. And I hope that you're interested in that and you'd like to learn more. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk a little bit. I know that you already know this, but just so we're on the same page, what does the skin need? Oxygen, needs water. We need lipids. I want you to pay attention to, though, what kind of lipids, because we tend to nowadays be afraid of cholesterol, right? Oh my gosh, we have too much cholesterol. When you see clients that are on cholesterol lowering drugs, I want you to start thinking, okay, your skin is going to start making some notations of that, okay? But we also need, fatty acids, ceramides, phospholipids, and all the nutrients. Okay? So that's our basis for the skin. Now let's talk a little bit about just what's going on with the gut. And here's some truths that I want to share with you. The gut nourishes every cell. Okay, so meaning everything that we put in has a job. Okay? Disease begins in the gut. So putting those two together, that would say, okay, if something's not working, say my gut's not working, and I'm not eating enough, or I'm not digesting well, and I'm not absorbing it, would it make sense that other parts of my body, maybe my kidneys, maybe my gut, maybe my liver, or my skin is going to show that? Absolutely. Stress has a major impact on the gut function. And this is something I want to share in a later course, because as we were discussing, and I've done classes before with people, and they'd say, wait a second, we hear about that all the time. Stress, 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 stress. Everyone's stressed. We're stressed when we get in the car. We're stressed when we get up in the morning. What's the right amount of stress? What's too far? But what does it do? What does stress do? How, and specifically, I want to unpack, what does it do to the gut? And it's pretty fascinating. So constipation and diarrhea, these are huge when it comes to gut dysfunction and the skin. And we tend to think that it's okay. And we allow it to happen over and over and over again. And it's toxins and it's nutrient malabsorption that's happening. So it's going to make a big difference. And one fact, I know a lot of people that take over-the-counter acid reflux medications because they'll say, oh, if I have tomatoes or if I have this, I take this, and it's no big deal. They just, pop something in. It's really not what's happening. Acid reflux is really too much stomach acid. And we're going to talk about stomach acid in a minute. And then the last thing is wear and tear on the gut wall lining has a lasting impact. We'll hear things like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. We'll hear about, gut dysfunction. We have a lot of names now for them. They basically mean the same thing. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the gut. Am I going too fast? Okay. So when we talk about the gut, it's very important to know that the gut has a one cell wall lining. So it needs to be a little bit permeable, but not too permeable. That's when we get too much that's coming into the gut and there's disruption. It's the entryway, as I said, for nutrition, for everything that happens in the body. It's also the way for the toxins and the waste to be released. The interesting fact about our gut is 2/3 of our immune system is here. So when people come to you and they have chronic illness, I always start with their digestion. We want to say things like, well, I'm allergic. I have food allergies. I have seasonal allergies. That starts in the gut. So? Why? That we will address when we go deeper into these other courses that are coming up. It's too much for today, but histamine in the wall of the digestive tract is released, and over time it wears on your immune system. So the other thing is we've all heard about, oh, I have a gut feeling, right? Oh, I just feel it. There's something going on. Well, that's because the gut does house the nervous system. There's tons of neurotransmitters that are happening. And so when you're nervous, do you get a upset stomach? I used to be so nervous, if I had to do a presentation, especially in grad school. I mean, I really, it just took me over the top, and I'd have stomach aches and diarrhea and everything going on. It was just like, you're a mess. And so it's called a vagus nerve, and it goes from the gut to the brain. So there's a direct communication, and I'm sure many of you have seen things like the gut-brain connection, and this is why, because there's a lot of neurotransmitters in the gut. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit to what's happening in the gut. And when we talk about the gut, we're really talking about opening to opening. So mouth all the way through the anus. That's really what they're talking about. But for today, we're going to focus on the stomach, small intestine, and the large intestine. Just, getting our feet wet a little bit here, just so you understand some things. Okay. So what's happening in the stomach? Well, the stomach is the first place that starts breaking down the food, and that's through hydrochloric acid. Now, there's other enzymes that are released as well, but HCl is the number one acid that is released, and the pH is between a 1.5 and 3.5. Okay, so pretty acidic. So there's also, well, logically you would think, wow, if it's that acidic, how can we protect, how is the stomach not burning itself every day? Think about that acid. Well, it has a mucus lining. and this neutralizes and it protects. And so that mucus lining is a bicarbonate. And so what it's doing is allowing the acid to break down the food and not disturbing the gut. So also, we're going to signal the pancreas and the gallbladder, and this is insulin and your bile. And your insulin we know about. Insulin regulates the blood sugar. It's telling the body that we're going to get food and we're going to take this blood sugar and we're going to use it for energy. The gallbladder has stored bile from the liver, and this is going to break down your fats mainly, but also some proteins. But in the stomach, it's designed to break down food and really get rid of any pathogens, anything that's coming our way. That's the stomach job. Okay, let's move on to the small intestine. Now, the next step, as you can see here, there's different portions of the small intestine. And, you could basically look this up and study this a little bit. But the main thing here is that we're going to break down the fats, the carbs, and the protein here. Okay. And this is where your nutrient absorption is starting to happen. This is where we want to see all those supplements that we're taking or the good food that we're eating. We want to see it become useful. So most of this absorption happens in the first 12 inches. Okay. And the second portion is for the absorption is the other, it's the duodenum. Okay. The first one is duodenum. Not that that's important for you to know, but just so you understand where the small intestine is and what it does is the most important thing that we want to talk about today. All right, let's go to the large intestine. What's happening here? A lot is happening in the large intestine. So, when you take probiotics, it's really for the large intestine. And some people will say large intestine, some people will call it the colon. So it's basically, you're going to see the large intestine, it surrounds the small intestine. This is where we're going to take those nutrients and absorb them again into the bloodstream. But also, we're taking water and absorbing water and the electrolytes within our body to form solid waste to move it out of the body. So right away, you want to think, oh, hydration is important. It's not only important for your skin, it's important to move out toxins, pathogens, waste in order for your body to do what it's supposed to do. So this really is where all the waste is moving. But in my course, it's a 10-hour course that I have, the skin and gut connection. We go deeper into this and we talk about the different types of bacteria that are present in the large intestine. Not that you have to understand every bacteria, but when you start looking at probiotics, I think it's important to know, well, do I have some symptoms that are more small intestine? Is it my stomach? Is it my large intestine? And after studying what's going on with the stomach and the large and the small, you will know, what portion is not functioning correctly. And this is where we want to be. So this has a real diverse microbiome. We talk about the microbiome of the skin, but this is the largest diversity. There's trillions of bacteria that's present here. Any questions so far? Okay, let's go on. We're going to spend a lot of time at the end with questions and go over some case studies too. Okay. As I mentioned before, the gut is the second brain. Okay. Why? Well, there's lots of neurons, but 50% of dopamine is produced in the gut and 90% of serotonin. What does that mean? When you have brain fog, Can you think of the link that it might have to do with your gut? When you're moody, we blame it on our hormones, and a lot of it is our gut. So this is why I wanted to bring this to your attention too, because there's so many of the clients that you may be seeing that not only are they stressed, but they talk about that. They'll talk about, I don't have memory anymore. I forget things. I can't focus. So now you can say, well, I just learned about the gut and it's really, connected to your brain. And let me tell you why. So pretty fun. Okay, next one. So now I have to talk a little bit about the microbiome because it's so fascinating, but the microbiome in the gut is just as important as the microbiome in your skin. So in the gut, it's going to help degrade toxins. Remember, toxins, we have a lot of toxins in our foods right now, right? What would they be? What would some of the toxins be in our food? Anyone?
Fake sugar, fake
Yes.
aspartame.
Yes. That's a big one. What about, the pesticides and the herbicides and the food colorings? And if I pick up a package of something that's wrapped in cellophane and it looks really good, it's a donut, but you can see the sugar, but you can also see a lot of chemicals. So the microbiome is extremely important here. So if your microbiome is healthy, it's going to start balancing what's happening. All right. And we want to have a healthy microbiome, and we will talk about that later if you have questions. How do you know you have it? Symptoms. But also, did you know that in your gut is where we make B12 and B6? So what does B12 do? B12 is the energy. It is make it good blood flow. And B6 has a lot to do with neurotransmitters. So it is your gut connection. So right there, I don't have to take B12 or B6 if I have a healthy gut, right? We think that we have to get it from, a supplement, and we don't. The other thing that the microbiome does is it really helps with the immune system. So we have so many inflammatory responses happening throughout the day. It's the air, it's the water, it's our thoughts, it's the products that we're putting on, it's everything. And so there could be an overload with your immune system. Sometimes it shuts down because there's so much, but your microbiome that's healthy. See, I picked this picture because most of them are smiling, the microbiome. It's important. If they're smiling, then we know that that's healthy. I'm kidding. Okay, next. Do we have a question?
I was going to tell you that Sue Ann also mentioned microplastics. Um,
Mm.
you know, and yeah, I mean, think of how much plastic and how now they're relating that to children's development of hormones and things like
Oh,
that too. So yes, plastic is around, and of course we've been using it, but there's a lot of the negative that they're discovering too about plastics.
yeah, Sue Ann, thank you so much for that because that's so, so important. And we tend to not think about that as much because, it's been in my lifetime that we've gone from glass to plastics. And now everything is in plastic. Yet we hear, it shouldn't be. But I've noticed, even in the produce department, why are we wrapping all the vegetables in plastic? What are we doing here? And they're sitting there, and they're probably in a hot truck. What are we doing? But yet we have to pay for the plastic bags. Hmm.
And just so
Okay.
you know, Sue Ann, you can comment too. You can just unmute yourself. This is
Yeah.
available. So feel free to just jump on in too.
I've had Sue Ann in a class before. She knows I talk, and she knows that I'm very interactive with the guests and participants. So if you have more to say, please do. So what's the connection? So let's start talking about that. The microbiome, and you can look this up, you can do research. I recommend that when you do research, just don't go straight to Google. Google will take you to the first part. AI is coming in now. It's hot and heavy. We're going to, spill it all out for you. Go deeper. Look at some of the PubMed studies. I know a lot of them aren't real fun to read, but once you read like the opening and the content of it, and really the conclusion, you'll see a lot of information about eczema, psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, and even redness. These all have a lot of connections. Now, your atopic dermatitis, there's actually a certain bacteria that's an overgrowth in your large intestine. A lot of times redness that won't go away is from Candida. Candida is a bacteria. It is important. It's not the evil one. It's just out of balance. So many people will say, oh, I have Candida. Well, a lot of that is sugar. Remember, bacteria loves to eat just as much as we do. Okay. So it will take away from our cells to grow. So if there's sugar, that turns into glucose. They love it. So one way to really reduce that is bring your sugar down, your carbohydrates down. Accelerated aging, there's a lot of Candida. That's something else that I had as well. Okay, so now let's go a little bit further. Here are some of the clues that I noticed in my skin. Okay, if my skin isn't firm and tight like I think it should be, what would make that tighter? Well, we always talk about collagen, and we always think, okay, well, how do I get collagen? Protein. So then if I take that one more step, I would think, okay, well, if I'm eating protein, then why is my skin looking this way? What's happening to it? Then the next answer would be because I'm not absorbing it, because stress is overcoming it, or something, there's too much bacteria. So that's your next step. The fats and carbohydrates, I could see hyperpigmentation on my skin, lots of lipofuscin, lots of liver spots. Lipofuscin, for those of you, most of you know this, but it's sugar attached to, so lipo, fused to protein. And when protein, it wants to be this nice, straight, normally, kind of like a fabric, if you see it, just nice and straight. But when you attach something to it, the fat, it makes it a little bit obscure. And so it's not going to function. And so it can manifest as dark spots on the skin. And I've said this a lot in other classes that I've taught, especially for Victoria Deanne. And that was, all dark spots on your skin are not attributed to the sun. We want to just blanketly say, oh, get out of the sun, to where now we're afraid of the sun, and we need the sun. We need it for our vitamin D, but we think, okay, that's a dark spot. That shouldn't be there. We got to go deeper. If we really want to get rid of that and understand the root cause, we have to start looking at the gut. And then the reason why they call it liver spots is because it's the liver. The liver has full of toxins and it's overloaded. And so it's going to expel through the skin, because the skin absorbs and it also secretes. And so we need to, if your body is going to get rid of it, it's going to come up through the pores and through the cells. All right.
Hey, Susan, I have a question.
Okay.
The lipo one, is that similar to glycation? Are they synonyms or are they slightly different?
Lipo would be fat, glycation would be sugar.
Got it.
Okay. Similar looking on the skin. Looks very similar.
That's what I was thinking. I wonder if they visually looked the same with a different cause. So we may be stumbling over what we think is glycation and it not actually be. That's why I brought it up.
Glycation tends to be the sagging, and you will see the cross links, the hashtags. Okay. And so when you see lipofusion, you're going to see the dark spots.
Got
In
it.
any case, you're going to see the skin's not performing the way it should. It's not tight. I'm eating protein. I've had clients that have said, I'm doing this. It says collagen on it. I'm drinking it morning, noon, and night, and nothing's working. Okay, your gut. Let's work on your gut. Let's figure out what's happening, why you're not absorbing. All right, let's go on. So what are so now we kind of know some things about the gut. What causes a breakdown? This is basic, okay? A breakdown of the gut would be a lack of, and this is digestion, lack of digestive enzymes or bile, okay? Bile is from the liver, okay? Digestive enzymes come from the stomach. Excess sugar, chemicals, toxins, we just talked about that. Stress, lack of sleep, damage to the wall that we talked about, that's the protector, is allowing bacteria to come in when it's not supposed to. They're coming into the playground, you're not supposed to come in, you're supposed to stay outside. And that's usually what they call SIBO. But are there other things that I'm missing here that you can think of that would break down the gut that I didn't mention? Excess sugars is also alcohol. Lots of chemicals and toxins. Okay, we'll move on then. So let's make the connection. Here's some inside clues. Lots of inflammation, allergies, chronic sickness. Outside, you're going to see things like acne, rosacea, eczema. If someone complains of they're always bloated, they're gassy, they have stomach pain or constipation, they will probably present with hyperpigmentation, sagging, acne, or rosacea. If someone has high blood pressure or poor circulation, you're going to see things like swollen ankles and varicose veins. I have to tell you that varicose veins are a breakdown of the artery wall for the same reason that our gut breaks down. That wall is breaking apart, therefore we can see the blood and it's bursting. Okay? Many people say it's hereditary or I'm standing too much. I was recently, my parents live in Vegas, and I also have a brother that lives there too. And my brother, I noticed his ankles were very swollen, and he's younger than I am. He's 6 years younger than I am, and lots of varicose veins. And I said, you're too young for that. What's going on? And he says, well, I stand all day because of, teaching. And I knew that it was probably his blood pressure, his heart, poor circulation. There's a lot of heart that's happening. And he eats a lot of sugar. So he had the breakdown. So, we can look outside of the skin too. That contribute to what's happening to the skin. We've talked about brain fog, moodiness, anxiety, poor sleep, hormone imbalances. You're going to see the same thing. Accelerated aging, you're going to see hyperpigmentation, eczema, and skin rashes. So I wanted you to pay attention to these things too, because we tend to separate. We'll say things like, oh yeah, that's happening, but we don't connect it to the skin and why we're seeing it in the skin, and now we can. I'm not asking you to prescribe anything. I'm not asking you to, tell them they need more B12 or whatever. What I'm doing is trying to bridge that gap, whereas it's like, we have to connect. We have to start connecting, all the organs and the gut to what we're seeing on the skin, because you could save lives. You actually can be, I call estheticians the first responders. You're the first to see anything that's happening in the skin and connecting it. Now you can do more. All right, let's go on. So let's talk a little bit about toxins because I think it's important because there's so much right now, especially in our foods. We're hearing all the time where, I can go to Italy and have pasta and I feel really good. We have pasta like 2 or 3 times. I lose weight when I go over there. But when I come back here, then, I'm bloated and I gain weight and I'm grumpy. It's because they do not allow in Europe and especially in Italy an additive that we put in our breads. It's something that we add, and so that's why. So that it presents itself as a toxin in your gut. Your gut doesn't recognize it. It's like, wait a second, what is that? So toxins, you will see compromised gut and skin. You're going to see excessive secretions. Why? Your body wants to get rid of it. Just yeah, get it out. That your body is so wise. It's so good at identifying an intruder and saying, you don't belong here. Okay, so all the cytokines come in, all the mast cells. I love the way that your immune system works, our immune system works, because it knows exactly what to do. Problem is, when we're presenting toxins all the time, meaning my breakfast is fast food and I eat really fast. So, I'm not really getting the digestive enzymes working because I'm so, I don't have time. So we have the eggs that aren't really eggs that we drive up to and they look like a pillow. And I don't know what they're made of. I do want to investigate that a little bit and see what it is. I'm afraid actually to see. And then lunch, we grab lunch, we say, I'm just going to grab lunch and we eat in the car. And I don't know what that is either. So if we're constantly providing this environment to our body, does it make sense that it's going to excrete? It's going to cause acne. It's going to say enough, but also it will shut down after a while too. It'll say, oh, I guess this is what you're going to feed me. And I don't even recognize it anymore. This is like, oh, I think you're one of us. So come on in. And it's not supposed to. So what we're seeing is, rapid cell turnover, which is psoriasis. Psoriasis is actually an autoimmune. And so that's where your immune system is like, wait a second. Okay, I'm tired. I just can't do it anymore. Redness. Redness is blood flow. Redness is trying to repair. So toxins is very important. That'll be another topic because there's so much to uncover here. So we'll move on. Okay, I have to say a little bit about our food and supplements because our first response is always, oh, you need a B12. Oh, you need omegas. Oh, you need. Okay, so let me present something to you. I want you to just think about it for a second. Is it better to have food or supplements? This picture is not an exaggeration of an acquaintance that I had when I lived in Colorado. He actually ate more pills than he did lunch one day. And I was like, what was that on the menu? Just kidding. Okay, so next slide. 1 cup of broccoli, 1 cup, okay? Not a stalk, not the whole thing. 1 cup contains protein, fiber, vitamin C, K, folate, potassium, magnesium, iron, and calcium. That's how your body can break it down and use it. I'm a firm believer in foods over supplements. That's a whole nother subject. I'll be here for 3 hours today, Pam and Stephanie, if we talked about that. But okay, so let's go on. Now, sometimes we think, every time I have something, I need to take a pill. Well, this what I want to present to you is it's really impossible to measure. It's impossible to measure how much you're absorbing and how much you're flushing out. There's no way you can. Okay. Some people think, well, it's really expensive to eat really healthy food. Like I just want organic, Well, all those nutrients that you just received in 1 cup of broccoli would be a lot of supplements. So just making you think a little bit. I'm just challenging the supplement market here. Taking too many can sometimes be harmful, especially people that they think that taking a lot of, let's just say magnesium or something like that. Magnesium is very, very important. But if I'm taking over 600 milligrams, your body's like, whoa, 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 okay, back off. So again, everything has to come into, understanding how the body works. All right.
Susan, I have a question. What is
Yeah.
the like, for example, the ones that are in those two-piece like casing, the outside of them? What are supplements usually packed in like that? What is that? Yeah,
I don't understand.
this part, the clear part, the plastic part. What I assume might be plastic. I'm not sure if it is. What is this part?
Oh, that part
Andrea's
is
circling there.
cellulose. It's usually cellulose.
Cellulose. Okay.
Yeah. And
My brain
that's,
was thinking microplastics. If it's a plastics, that
yes,
will add up
well,
too. Going back to the microplastics.
there could be. Your cheaper supplements are cheaper for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you get 2 for 1, there's a reason. When you go to, I'll just say Costco, oh, I'm getting all these, and they're the hard pills. Well, if your digestion's not working, you're not going to absorb that.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Besides that, so one more comment too. The bright, colorful food tastes better than supplements. I cannot stand that sand taste and feeling from taking supplements.
I agree. I get stomach aches if I take too many. So I have to be very careful with that. And that just tells me again that, it's too much for my digestion. And it took me some time to get my digestion working again. So actually I would feel like, okay, I have energy. Okay, I can do this again. Now, here's the flip side. Sorry. What was it?
Somehow
Oh,
you
that's,
have an echo, and I'm not sure why.
yeah. I heard my voice and I'm like, wait, what was that a question?
That's
Okay.
Angel talk.
The flip side is sometimes supplements are necessary. Sometimes they're not bad. I just wrote an article in Dermoscope. It's in this July, and I think it's called the pill delusion or something like that. I was trying to be very positive and present both sides because there's 2 sides always. But it's highly hyped right now. Oh, just take collagen. Oh, just take hyaluronic. Okay. And that's not the whole truth. We can't just do that and assume that someone is going to take collagen and their wrinkles are going to go away. Come on. I'd be bathing in it right now. Okay. But they do help. And we have to start thinking about, pre and pro biotics, adaptogens, or, really the minerals that are coming from your plants, vitamins and minerals. So when we think about topical and also what's nourishing inside, now we can really start making a difference with the skin. We can really start talking to your clients about holistic, healthy skin. All right, next. So here's the connection, just to kind of recap. There's bacteria imbalances, poor digestion, lack of nutrient absorption. Those are your key takeaway for today, because this will address most of your clients' lack of or what they're presenting in the skin. So let me tell you about a client. Next slide. This is someone that was referred to me from an instructor at a school. And she says, we don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with her. Because anything that I put on her skin exasperates it. And I said, because it's not topical, it's inside. And she's like, what do you mean? So when I met her, this first picture, it was not even her first picture. I'm trying to find it and I can't find it. It was purple. It made you, cry when you would see her. She's purple. She wouldn't go out in public. She worked at home. She didn't know what to do. The only thing that I could do with her is help her skin perform the way it was supposed to perform and then fix her gut. So I knew that she had toxins. So all I could do is put a warm washcloth. I said, I want a warm washcloth to start helping your skin expel this daily, okay? Not hot, not steamy, just help it. Because whatever she put on her skin lit it up. So then I said, we have to go gluten-free, we got to go toxin-free, we have to address your stress. And it did take some time to get through some of her stress because she was stressed by how she looked. And after 5 months with her, she did everything I said, which was, just eat slowly, don't have a lot of water when you're eating, have warm cooked foods to really help your digestion. Nothing raw, nothing, no sushi, things like that. I want this to be all nutrients and we're going to build your gut. She had intestinal permeability advanced, meaning that she had a hole in her gut wall lining and it healed. So in 5 months, the redness went down. She went back to work. She works in an office now. And I was just thrilled with how she was doing. And when I work with clients, I don't keep them forever. My goal is, look, I'm going to teach you about the body and I'm going to teach you why it's happening. And then you don't need me after a while. You know what to buy. You know what's causing it. So once you understand the gut and how it's relating to the skin, you can fix yourself. And then she started helping other people, which I thought was pretty fun. So, okay, next slide. So now, we're supplementing your knowledge between the gut and skin connection. So let's go to the next slide. So when we have symptoms, I want you to start looking at suggestions, okay? Very easy things that you can do within your scope. I'm not asking you to say, okay, you need 20 grams of protein and 13. No, we're not doing that. We're not nutritionists. We don't want to be. We want to connect the skin and the gut and the brain, everything that's supposed to be connected. So food reactions, we have to go, we have to heal the wall lining. So reduce toxins. Number one, toxins are, in the food, gluten, your body doesn't recognize gluten. Honestly, I'm starting to think that I think gluten now is kind of a hyped. I think it's just to take away from the pesticides. Stress. Okay. If they have chronic inflammation in the body, you can start talking to them about getting probiotics. And there's companies out there that will do stool tests and test their gut and say, okay, these are the bacteria that you need. And that's, if anyone wants to know those companies, let me know. Histamine overload, again, is a deeper dive into the intestinal wall, but it happens for a reason. So you're going to, it'll present itching and rashes. So we have to heal the gut and we have to reverse just the tear down. Okay. So you have to heal with food, sometimes supplements, not the reverse. Always heal with food first. Someone that presents with high blood sugar, you're going to have the diabetics, they're insulin resistant. You'll see it on their skin. You're going to see acne. You're going to see a lot of redness on their skin because their skin is trying to get rid of it. So we need to eliminate those toxins. And tell them, start eating more steamed vegetables. Tell them about the broccoli that you just learned about. If they have constant acne, rashes, and rosacea, honestly, you have to increase your vitamin D, your sunshine, your vitamin A, and your zinc. Now, if their gut's not working, then it's hard to do those things. So I say, go outside for 20 minutes and get your body. That's how we absorb vitamin D anyway. That's how we're designed, not to take it in a supplement. We're not supposed to be afraid of the sun. Okay, next slide. So what do we do? Wellness industry is growing. It was one of the top areas now to be a part of in any industry. So what do you do? How do you start diving into this? Start adding supplement tips on your website or flyers or just use this information that you learned today. Start talking about these things that you know. People are always looking for it. Talk about the connection that you learned. People don't understand the connection. Just by taking 1 hour today, obviously doesn't put you into that arena where you can just go off and say, oh, but you have a lot of information today. You have enough to start talking about it. More than 90% of people. We think that we have to have a PhD before we can talk to people, and we don't. We have to help people. Update your intake form. Find out what they're doing in their lifestyles. Are you exercising? No, I'm too tired. Okay, that's why you don't have oxygen. And you don't have to be a personal trainer to tell them to exercise to get oxygen to their cells. Learn to read the skin and start connecting it to the gut. What's lacking? So my skin that I use as an example of why are you getting so many lines and wrinkles? Because you're not getting protein. You're not absorbing. So you could start there. And people will, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. But I'm having collagen all, I know, but you're not absorbing it. So now we can talk another way. Add new treatments to your menu. Add words like wellness, natural, gut and skin connection. All these words that they're looking for, that they're seeing. Now they can come to you and you can help them. All right, next slide. So what we're going to do is you are going to practice with suggestions. And some of the very simple suggestions I have for gut symptoms are, bloating. So ginger, we already know that. Ginger is misspelled. Ginger, peppermint. So you can go juice, tea. You can do fresh, pickled. You can do a lot of that. That helps. Bloating. We have to stop eating or drinking ice water with our meals. The reason why you have warm water before a meal is it helps the digestion. Ice water shocks your digestion, basically shuts it down. And we gulp it. We think we need it. Oh, it's hydration. No. Have it after, I say 30 minutes. Just wait, okay? We think we have to wash things down. We don't. That's causing the bloating. It's causing a lot of that. Gas, constipation, diarrhea. If we have to stop suppressing what our body's trying to do, which is using this hydrochloric acid. We want to help our stomach, okay? And that's, again, that's what the ice water is doing. It's suppressing the hydrochloric acid. If you have someone that, presents themselves with, foul breath, you automatically know there's lots of bacteria overgrowth. And so you can suggest to them, have you ever thought about probiotics just to help with some of these symptoms that you're having? Someone that comes in, they're very lethargic, low energy. I always say, go for walks. Go for a walk. I don't care if it's 10 minutes. You need to have some of that. Okay, next slide. I'm running out of time. I'm sorry. I told you I would. Here's more information. And, those of you that are attending, you will have this. But these are great studies that I think will be really good for you to use. And then if you want more information, you can go to my website. I do weekly blogs. I do articles. I just have lots of stuff. I do have certification courses. I have free courses. And then last slide is just my contact information. So if you want more information, we'd love to talk to you, how I can help you get started in the wellness. So that's
Perfect.
a lot of information.
Yeah. But I hope you guys can see how important it is. And now your takeaway is that even if you're not sitting, like as Susan said, you're not sitting down and going over your client's food intake, at least you're starting to put the food connection into your treatment room, into your protocols, into what you're doing in your treatment room. So what I'd like to challenge all of you to do is now when you're making your recommendations, not only are you giving at-home care recommendations, but also lifestyle recommendations. Go ahead and start building that into what you're telling your clients clients to do, because otherwise we're only getting half the picture. We're only doing those treatment room things where it's to get the whole picture, we need them doing their homework at home too. So even if you're not the registered dietitian, you can still plant the seed. That's what this class was about, was you have the knowledge to now plant the seed to your client to go out and to if they need to expand that service. This would be it's also great to network with professionals that you can refer them out to. You guys can start sharing clients with each other. So you don't have to be their everything, but you can be the first step for them.
Good information. Do we have any questions from anyone?
We did have one. What probiotic brand would you recommend? What's your favorite there, Susan?
Yeah. The only probiotic that I would recommend is a customized probiotic, because why would you put things in that you don't need, your body doesn't need? So the company that I like is called Flore, Flore, with an accent on the E. They're wonderful. And he has a great story. I mean, his son as a baby had eczema and the doctors couldn't do anything. And he realized that it was his gut. And so he started probiotic company. So it's pretty fascinating. So I like them a lot.
That's the second professional that's recommended that brand. That's the second time I've heard that brand.
Oh, good.
One thing I wanted to leave you guys on is, a lot of times we do everything we can in the treatment room, but without this type of information and tying this into it, and the clients don't get results, who does it come back on? The estheticians. Well, I went to her and it didn't get any better. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Now you do. It's this whole picture that you can paint to get those results, not just the products. I said in one of the promo videos, I chased problems with products for years and years and years, and they'll only get you so far. So I am very proud of everyone in this room for taking time out and investing in themselves and their clients. I hope to see you at more of these, and be sure to stay in touch with us. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Susan, for joining us. I know I learned something. Can't wait to implement it right away. And I hope you guys do too.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. We'll be together again soon.
Okay.
We'll be sending out dates soon for future classes to be able to sign up.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.